I've driven 90% of the vehicles because that's my product market research. How does it feel to drive those cars? How does it feel to be in a position where your car is on 2%? Let alone how do you feel when your phone is on 2%? That's a feeling magnified by a lot. So in that space, I want to.
Today, I chat with Abi Adugbesan, founder of a Techstars company called SplitEV. SplitEV offers a software app that democratizes EV charging by connecting EV drivers with owners of charging stations to provide a charging option with better uptime and convenience. Prior to SplitEV, Abi has managed million-dollar budgets and worked at 3 Fortune 500 companies. Abi recognized that the current charging infrastructure needs greater reliability, so in our conversation, we talk about how he's revolutionizing EV charging with this startup SplitEV. This is Earth ABC featuring Abi Adugbesan. Abi Adugbesan, what to do, my friend? Great to have you on today. Thanks for taking the time.
Anytime, man. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Abi, you deserve a killer intro. In our first call, you did not mention your electric vehicle charging ecosystem that you built through the pandemic is nationally recognized. And not to mention, you pretty much bootstrapped building this company since inception. So I'm sure others would find what you're working on as interesting as I personally found it. So please walk us through how your company SplitEV came about while navigating this EV landscape.
Oh, wow. Thanks for that. Love the intro. But SplitEV. SplitEV is personal to me because it came about because I wanted to solve my own problem. I am a avid EV driver. I've driven over 90% of electric vehicles outside of a Rolls-Royce Spectra, so hopefully looking to have that soon. But in the space, I noticed that once you get an electric vehicle, your time becomes an asset that you lose. Finding accessible on locations where you can want to charge your car becomes now a problem. I live in a pretty densely populated city. I would now drive 35 minutes to the nearest charging station. And, I'm waiting there for about an hour and 20 minutes to get a full charge. Then I drive 30 minutes back. That's 2 hours out of my day completely gone in EV charging. With a short range life for electric vehicles, that's almost 3 times a week, 6 hours a week. And I'm just spending my time in locations where I don't want to be. Then I realized that is a huge problem, and a problem by one is magnified by many. So lucky enough, now I have an EV charger at my home. Then what do you know? I have friends, strangers, next door neighbors, and family members saying, "Hey, Abby, let me use your charger so I can charge my car." My mind goes off where it's like, sure, why not? But who pays for this? And that's when SplitEV is born. Creating an ecosystem end to end, creating that special need that fills the gaps, but also provides revenue and time for private property owners and individuals.
Gotcha. So it sounds like SplitEV was born out of like a personal story, like and frustrations that blossomed from your experience just being an EV driver. And I think it's crazy that you've driven about 90% of all electric vehicles. That's an insane statistic. So as far as I understand, you're creating like a win-win solution for both EV drivers and then property owners. How are you going about doing that?
With the infrastructure of electric vehicles looking to be more robust in a few years, the biggest thing is partnerships. I'm leaning heavily into partnerships, but also heavily into the customer. I've driven 90% of the vehicles because that's my product market research. How does it feel to drive those cars? How does it feel to be in a position where your car is on 2%? Let alone how do you feel when your phone is on 2%? That's a feeling magnified by a lot. So in that space, I wanted to make sure that when it comes down to EV charging, I had to know what the customers are feeling through each step of the customer journey, but also what the partners and utility providers are feeling. So, in that conversation, I really spent time digging into, what utility providers are feeling in regards of that. How does the customer journey feel when it comes down to finding inaccessible locations? And what does a pipeline look like for EV drivers as a whole going forward in the near future?
Gotcha. So empathizing with like the user experience is crucial for SplitEV. How does the current user journey look like for EV drivers and then for property owners right now?
It's quite simple. But right now, it's like I said before, you find locations where it's on the map. When you get there, you're finding out that, oh, this charger's out of service, or um, there's a convoluted way of accessing the charger. You have 4 to 5 different applications on your phone to find the charger location, then the payment system, and they're all in a different way. And I look at these charging networks as vending machines for electricity. They're there to provide you the electricity, but the vending machine is always broken and inefficient.
Right. Yeah, I think building on top of that, one article that I came across, Harvard Business School published some report that said the average reliability score of like US public charging stations is about like 78%, like 80%. And I was just like, wow, like that is not enough, you know? So it's like kind of what you're talking about. So is this a benchmark reliability score that Split EV can easily beat? And if so, like what reliability score are you shooting for in the next 1, 3, and 5 years?
We're looking to be at 99% uptime. And I say that because we deal with real-time information. I imagine your phone being charged. Imagine you want to charge your phone and it's only going to work 70% of the time that you're going to charge your phone. It does not make any user feel comfortable. And as I am the end user, as anyone that looking to come into the EV charging network becomes the end user, we need to reach that 100%. And with billions of dollars being spent on an infrastructure that has not done that yet, there needs to be another opportunity to do so. And I do believe Split EV is a new way of doing that.
Gotcha. And then I also came across this stat where I believe about 10% of electric vehicles that were purchased in the year 2023 were EVs. So that's like, let's say 1/10 of all American households have an electric vehicle. What does that mean for how ubiquitous like EV charging stations will be within your network?
I look at that as a huge market opportunity. I look at that as a way of, I look at that as a new economy. It's a new
Mhm.
sharing economy that really Split EV is laying into. Electricity is something that's going to be, it will be more and more expensive as time goes into that, because of AI, because of electric vehicles, and because of other platforms that are doing a high draw on our grid. But there are microgrids, huge shout out to Grid Discovery there, that are able to now disseminate. Okay, if this is now a new hub or node, your property now can now become the new energy source.
Mhm.
So tapping into that property directly provides a huge plethora, a huge way of scaling a network that can be completely decentralized.
Got you. So let's say I'm someone that doesn't have an EV, right? Would it make sense for me to maybe like purchase and build like a EV charging station at my home? And would they get something out of using Split EV?
Yes, absolutely. You can definitely purchase, our EV charger. We've actually done a lot of product research, and that's another segue into our next version of Split EV. Software first, hardware second, and I'll save the rest when we go live on the third one. But the hardware is really important. You don't need to have an electric vehicle. And if you learn about the ways of gig economies are working, Airbnbs has become, the next best thing for a private property owner. They want to get several of these Airbnbs to realize their ROI. Same thing with electric vehicles. Same thing with Turo, and now Split EV is coming into the mix. Where, as you list your charger with on our network, you become your own personalized EV charging asset. But with that being said, our hardware, really first of its kind, that has 3 patents on that, will help you facilitate your earnings in a larger capacity.
Mhm. So with people within the Split EV's network being able to find like these charging stations at other people's homes, what safety considerations have you made that other people might have missed when it comes to building something like a like an EV charging infrastructure?
I think the biggest things that we have leaned into in that space is, like I said, from that customer journey, is realizing what the customer needs. Safety is, hey, let's charge in a place where you're familiar to, not behind a strip mall or a dim lit parking lot at the mall,
Right, right.
but in a community that you're familiar to. How about a restaurant that you know, a coffee shop, locations that you've already patronized and you feel safe within your community. And also, we've interlaid a different metric system where we can now track and we can now put you in locations with like-minded individuals that kind of share the same commonality traits as you as well with our AI platform.
And when you say commonality, what are some things that you display in your application that people can see?
There's so many different layers there, but imagine it where people have affinity groups. There's affinity groups for a Jeep Wrangler, where they have the specific gesture that they do when they see another Wrangler, or a person that has a motorcycle, they see another Harley or, Ducati, and they have like a sign type of thing. In the EV space, there's a sense of uniformity that's there. You go to Tesla, everyone's facing the exact same way, and we're probably watching Netflix or something else on our screens, but we have taken bits and parts of those type of those data points. We've inlaid that into Split EV in a way where it's a community driven platform. It puts you where you want to go, it charges you where you are, and also it creates a network of communities of like-minded individuals that share the same passion as you.
Right, right. I really like that idea. Um, I really want to revisit like the safety aspect. So like let's imagine like I'm a woman driver, I'm pregnant with
Mhm.
my child, and you mentioned like you don't want like an EV driver to be in a dimly lit parking lot that in a town they've never been to. So for someone like that, they open your app, Split EV. On top of like the affinity stuff, what else are they seeing to ensure like their own safety?
They're seeing a rating system, a rating system of location, a rating system of amenities, a rating system of, just the performance, not just of that charger, but of the location. It's kind of like a Yelp for EV charging.
Hmm. Got you. So like a mix of like an Airbnb-esque EV charging app plus like Yelp.
Exactly, exactly. But we want to be more robust than that. We want to be in a space where it's not just user feedback, data points that we're collecting. It's really just a community that we want to build.
Okay, okay. And so like California, Massachusetts, and Washington, they're pretty forward when it comes to like EV infrastructure and setting out incentives for people to buy like EVs. But for states like Mississippi and similar states, how does that affect where you're going to start your application?
It affects it in a way where it doesn't matter the state that you are in. It's the opportunity that you want to see, that the revenue that you want to generate. If you're a private property owner or if you drive an electric vehicle, everyone knows how expensive it is to find charging locations, but also how expensive it is to charge your vehicle. It's the benefits of savings that we're giving to the customer, the benefits of revenue for the private property owner. So the incentives really goes into, hey, how much would you like to make, or how much would you like to save? And that's really what SplitEV is about. Savings, revenue, but also a platform that just fits every corner of the country.
I see, I see. So let's say my entire community is full of EV drivers and we each have like an EV station. And let's say Joe comes in from a different state, needs a place to charge, but he has so many options between myself and my neighbors. And I want to earn as much income as possible through offering my EV station as a charging port. How can I ensure like a maybe like a steady source of income when there's so many other people offering like a EV charging station?
Well, in that space, it's about the location that you are creating for yourself. The amenities that you can create. Is your Wi-Fi on at that location? Is it in a well-lit private property? Those go into our data points and those put you at a higher tier so that we can actually say, well, put you on the list higher than another person. So our AI embedded platform helps to generate revenue for individuals at a higher tier, depending on how their location is more welcoming to an EV driver.
That makes a lot of sense. It's kind of similar to how like Airbnb kind of bumps up in ranking the people who are like very highly rated hosts, or the Airbnb unit themselves is like really well furnished and so on and so forth.
Exactly, exactly. So we again, it's about making the end user comfortable, making them more applicable to finding a network that just works with their lifestyle.
Gotcha. Okay. And about like Split EV itself, like you have a team like right now, and you're keen on having a strong team and company culture. So, what kind of people have you brought on so far?
Man, I've brought on board innovators, forward thinkers, people that see the vision. When it comes down to Split EV, the biggest part about that, not even Split EV, the biggest part about starting a company or creating, a motif of a good picture is, can other people see down the periscope? Can other people see, down the line? Do they see the field where in a new world where this does not exist, how can we create something that's so innovative that it can exist, it can be applied, and it can be adapted to the world as a whole? Um, as a founder, a lot of people they want to create. I want to create something that sticks, and the people that have stuck with me, the first investors, our advisors, but also our founding team, these are the guys that know what the future of EV charging can look like, and we're here to build that.
Hmm. For sure. So pretty much people that are in the same like boat as you, where you're very forward thinking and wanting to create something bigger than themselves.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And that's the start of every successful, great entrepreneur or person is if you create something bigger than yourself, then you're really creating it for the people.
Yeah. And one thing that you did to kind of kickstart building something huge is going through the Techstars Alabama Energy Tech Accelerator. And this was in 2023, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And one goal that you set for yourself then was to form like partnerships with key players in the energy and then the tech sectors. How has it been searching for these types of connections, and what notable mentions would you like to shout out?
Wow. It's been great. It's been amazing. Having the Techstars, logo or championship flag on your belt is a open door, to all Techstars companies, to all Techstars affiliates, and mentors as well. So, you have that Techstars literally like a family of people that share the vision that, hey, let's help you build, let's build together, and let's figure a way to make things work. Notoriety goes to, Earth ABC. I think Britt Corsi, I've, she's a great individual. I think the way she thinks, um, I don't see her doing anything else becoming more successful or going into politics. She's a lobbyist at heart, and she knows how to put things together. Great discovery. They're doing a massive. I think they just got ASBI R award, and huge great things for Matt and all of the other team members that from Techstars. Matt J, he's the one that put the founding teams together, and without his insights on knowing, hey, what's next, we wouldn't be here. So that's our managing director at Techstars, and hats off to him too.
Mhm. Got you. So a lot of shouting out to the Techstars group and to
Mhm.
help you pretty much be in a position where you can grow.
Exactly. Oh, I forgot Alabama Power. Alabama Power is, the partnership part of our growth. The data points that they were able to give us, understanding what charging looks like, not to a individual, not to a private property, but to the utility providers. And that's huge insights, learning that what their needs and wants are, and we factored everything in with our growth.
Got you. So while like we're talking about like Split EV, that makes me like want to try the app like even more, either to earn money or to reliably find a safe charging station. So when can I expect to use the application, and when
Oh
can
man.
the community like reach out to you if they want to get that kickstarted for them?
It's happening really soon. We have about 500 people in our private beta. We're kicking the tires. We want to make sure that upon nationwide rollout, we will be the go-to charging network. And we plan on having that Q1 2025 when we'll be in all 50 states.
Gotcha. Well, that's promising. And I have a bunch of family members, friends that do drive an EV. So
Mhm.
hopefully they can see a lot of benefit from that. Again, because a lot of these like public charging stations can be quite unreliable at times.
And that's the biggest portion of that. Imagine going to a gas station and tell you, hey, our gas is not there, or our station, our pump is down.
Mhm.
What does that say about going into a new space of EV charging? So, we want to make sure that the comfortability of charging your phone is the same thing that you have with charging your car, and the revenue that you have from that is something that you can capitalize on.
Right, right. So traction, momentum, split EV.
Yes,
What do
yes.
these words have in common? What comes to mind for me is forward movement. So, what has been a big recent achievement for you, and what key milestones can we expect to see from you in the next 1 to 2 years?
Wow. One of the biggest, I think it's the notoriety, it's the platforms. We were listed as the most fundable startup of 2024 through Pepperdine University. So, having that flagship of an institution, being part of the SplitEV ecosystem is great news.
Mm.
Working with NVIDIA, leveraging their AI platforms and their, GPUs as well is huge for us for our growth. There's so many more coming down the pipeline, but to our investors, to our, angels, hey, thank you. Thank you for coming on board.
Yeah. And then I imagine you are exciting a bunch of investors who are listening in right now. For any of those that might be doubtful because of maybe important and/or nuanced regulations, what can you say to calm their nerves when it comes to specific regulations that you're aware of and that you kind of have in consideration when you're building this?
Well, we have great partners on board that are looking to position us in a way where there wouldn't be any drawbacks. There wouldn't be any roadblocks that we cannot achieve or overcome. There isn't any specific deregulatory regulations that puts us in a way that we cannot succeed. But at the same time, we're mindful. We're mindful of our growth. We're mindful of our strategy. And, we are positioning ourselves to be the cornerstone EV charging network across the country, but also being in a space where we're sustainable and driving sustainable efforts within communities across the country is really where we see our growth happening and achieving.
Hmm. For sure. And then for people that are listening in that might be an aspiring entrepreneur in the sustainability space, what advice would you like to share to them?
The biggest advice is listen to yourself. You're going to be pulled in so many different directions. You should do this, you should do that. Have you considered? If you put yourself in the end user's shoes, then you will have all the consideration that you need. Seeing the platform end to end is the ultimate goal that you need to achieve. Knowing what the customer needs and seeing the value that you can give to that customer, I think that's something that you'll see and be defined as being a success.
Mhm. And I really liked how you tied back in listening to your users and your advice to these up and coming entrepreneurs, especially since you yourself are um, basically walking that walk. So thank you for sharing that piece of advice as well.
Anytime, anytime. It's something that I am eagerly filling in my own shoes, my own manifest destiny, if you will. But, I am super passionate about everything that we've done collectively and all of the team members that has supported me, especially family and friends along this journey. So I wouldn't be here without them. And I would really wouldn't be here with people also like Brittany for putting everything like this together. And you, of course, Sean.
Thank you, Avi. And to end things off, I know you're a fan of Peter Thiel, and
Yes.
he gets at this idea that consensus is not always correct. So here's a question I'd love to ask you. What
Mhm.
important truth do very few people agree with you on?
That you need fast chargers. Fast chargers are something where it's like, yeah, it's cool to have a fast charger, but does it work? Can you get there? Or you still have the biggest portion of time that you're losing, even at a fast charger. So my position is, hey, we need less fast chargers and more level two.
Sure thing. So that concludes our conversation. Abi, thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited to see for myself the SplitEV app when it comes out in the upcoming year. And yeah, thank you again.
No worries, Sean. Good speaking with you. Looking forward to having you on board as a SplitEV customer as well.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this interview, follow along on EarthABC's LinkedIn to stay connected and never miss what's going on in climate tech. If you'd like to reach out or you're interested in coming on as a guest, feel free to connect with me, Sean Pack, on LinkedIn. We're always looking for inspiring ventures and founders in the climate space to feature on the show. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time.